Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. We're back from our season break. Benji's returned from his mansion in the Seychelles, and we are here in the midst of a summer heat wave. I have the doors shut to my right-hand side. No sun can reach me for a weekly show. We needed to warm up the old vocal cords before the Tour de France preview. That mammoth one will be dropping probably Tuesday morning for the Australians. But yeah, weekly show, a lot of news to catch up on. How have you been, Benji? You've been out and about. Where did you go to Frankfurt this week?
To the Seychelles, my friend. You just told me to my mansion. Now I underwent the hottest portion of the heat wave because apparently Germany might have been going really bad. I was having like 40 degrees on a daily basis in Frankfurt to go to Eurobike. So I'm a molten man. I'm a shade of the man I was 4 days ago, is what I'm trying to say. So if I say anything stupid here, I blame the heat. That's my excuse for today's podcast. But I generally can't wait to jump back into it. It's just about a week before the Tour de France starts. And yeah, I've got the hype, Patrick. Do you?
I've got the hype as well. I needed a little mid-season break. Forgive us for not doing daily recaps of Tour de Suisse, which we've in fact never done. But we are going to Barcelona in just under a week in person. Hopefully it cools down a little bit. This episode, as always, is brought to you by a show partner, Join Cycling. But we got a lot to get into. We're going to do some race recaps. We're going to do as well I think injury bulletin's pretty long, unfortunately, for the Tour de France in particular is horrific. And what I really want to get into is the transfer news and speculation. We got a really fun segment that I just brainstormed that we're going to kick off the transfers with. And I guess we'll get straight into the previous races. So we had the Tour de Suisse, as I mentioned, Tadej Pogačar. He attacked basically got a lead out for an intermediate sprint by McNulty, and then he got a little gap, and then he just decided to do a 2-hour solo. So he won by 2 minutes in stage one. GC was over. He won the stage. They tried to make Narvaez win a reduced group sprint in stage two. They copied the Visma Wout van Aert tactics for the last 5 years, and it had like a similar outcome where it's very tricky to manage the breakaway and also not drop the sprinter. Breakaway stayed away, and Romain Gregoire, like he did last year on stage one, won the sprint.
Yes.
Although he actually dropped everyone in the descent last year. And then the next day they changed tact and they just put Narvaez, plonked him in the breakaway, and Muris just pulled with him and he won the sprint. Ahead of Marnus Court, who actually has some news of yesterday. I think the biggest upset of this week, by far, it didn't get much, it got a bit of coverage because of the fine, but what the hell is this time trial by Mathieu van der Poel?
It was strong, that's for sure. I had heard rumors that he'd been doing a little bit more when it comes to his time trial, but when I saw him on the bike, it reminded me of that Mathieu van der Poel Tour de France 2022, 2021 time trial in week one, where he was really good, top 10 in the time trial, if I recall correctly, but this was so strong, he ended up being in the hot seat for quite a while. We'll talk about that in a second. And the only rider that could beat him in the end was Tadej Pogačar by 0.03 seconds. So that's barely any difference. That's a super strong TT by Van der Poel, and it shouts to me that he won't just be an NPC at the Tour de France, that he will be at a very good form in that race. But the hot seat, Patrick. Our man, Mathieu van der Poel, took his clothes off, or at least he was topless on the hot seat, and he received a 500 Swiss franc fine for that, for inappropriate attire while on the hot seat, or if I look at the exact rule, it says unseemly or inappropriate behavior, in particular undressing or urinating in public at the start or finish or during a race, and damage to the image of the sport. I don't think this picture was damage to the image of the sport.
Yeah, I didn't really see it at the time. Obviously, yeah, if I'd had kids and they were watching this and they saw that, I would have been very, very upset, and I would have had to turn the television off at the sight of a man without his shirt on. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just a hot seat rule. Maybe they should have more fans at the hot seat when it's really hot. Probably Van der Poel he would have been happier to eat the fine. He got the worst of both worlds. He has to sit in the hot seat for ages, and he lost the TT by less than a second. That's the worst.
You know what I find the funniest part about that rule being triggered here is that the rule can give a penalty from 200 to 500 Swiss franc, but the UCI thought, okay, this is vile criminal behavior. We have to give the maximum penalty of 500 for this crime. It's a bit overboard, but hey, as a cycling fan, it's a funny thing happening in the sport, but also quite sad.
I didn't think
modesty
rules or norms were going to get applied to a sport where like 200 men in lycra, in very, very tight fitting lycra, right around on television. So anyway, that happened. Mathieu Van der Poel won't be able to afford his private jet back, and then we had...
no.
I know. And then had...
Is the fact that he is topless all the time the reason that he's always sunburned?
No, the reason that he's always sunburned is he doesn't use sunscreen. I think he's like that guy on Instagram who does the sun staring, that wakes up in the morning, just like staring directly at the sun. But seriously,
who do you watch on Instagram is my question.
The phone listens to me. At the moment, I'm getting like the watch hustle grind set Instagram. What? I don't own a watch. I will never purchase a luxury watch. But it's like people like buying and selling watches. You know, like the people. The stage 5 was the only mountain stage. It was a circuit, very, very hard stage. Strong breakaway with Lenny Martinez. He was really, really good. Like he is at the back end of 1 week stage races. That's how he won the stage at the end of Paris-Nice. That's how he won the stage at the end of the Dauphiné last year. Lenny started with a maybe 2-minute gap on a 25-minute climb, and Pogačar sailed past. He had to attack early, and he did the best level climbing performance of 2026 so far. So he did it in the TT, he did it on the hilly stage, he did it on the mountain stage.
Pretty good cyclist.
Pretty good cyclist, yeah.
I think it's fair to say that Tadej Pogačar is ready for the Tour de France, but to be clear, in today's podcast, we won't be deep diving into Tour de France start list yet. That's going to be a separate Tour de France preview podcast like every year, and I can't wait to jump into that. But before we venture onwards, I want to go towards the Tour de Suisse women's race, because that was also pretty enjoyable to watch. And in that one, I think stage 1, we had a group with Urška Žigard, with Lauren Dixon and Femke de Vries getting away, fighting for the victory. We had GC riders behind like Royce, Elisa Longo Borghini and so forth fighting it out in a second group, but that breakaway did stay away, and Femke de Vries beat Lauren Dixon on the line in a 2-up sprint, taking her first pro victory. For some reason, I thought de Vries had already won a race, because she's been so good, you know? Does that make sense?
No, she's kind of like a Kelderman style rider, but her and Dixon had, they had a 2-up sprint. Dixon went really, really early, and it was de Vries' big win for her. Then also the GC gap that she had. It was a pretty entertaining race, actually. It really was, because, like ELB then came back. Reusser and Navidon went the wrong way in stage 2. Van Damme went the right way. She finishes second. Lauren Dixon crashed out on stage 3. Zoe Backstep won the sprint. And then in the TT, Marlon Reusser laid down a big marker ahead of the Tour de France Femme, which has a long 25-minute time trial. And she took a minute on the LB, took the GC lead. But we had the Villars-sur-Orléans finish, which, by the way, I was in Geneva Airport, unfortunately, recently.
Unfortunately? Mate, I have a rant.
Yeah. Are you going to go on about the cost of things?
Yes.
Okay.
You too?
Not more related to the Romandy region, but yeah, you go first.
I think we're in this societal moment where, why are we normalizing that water is €8.50 at an airport? Like, yes, you can get water from like a free water stand at toilets and so forth, but the one at Frankfurt Airport was broken, so I had to obtain water at a store. €8.50 for a water.
You supply and demand, Benji. Europeans don't drink water.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Have you ever seen a European drinking water?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Wait. Look at me. Look at
You're
me.
not, mate. Brexit means Brexit. You're in the UK. So, the
That's the EU. Europe and EU are different.
it really I struggle with the understanding it. Anyway, yeah, Geneva is the. I have no idea how the economics of Geneva work. No
Like,
idea. No.
is Switzerland in the EU?
And no, I don't know.
So by your logic, it's not in Europe.
I don't know. They have their own currency. But yeah, you look at like salaries in Geneva and then the cost of things. You're like, how does this work? Like, how is this possible? And anyway, Villars-sur-Olon, what reminded me was I saw like a collection of kids like with boarding school bags on at the airport, and I was like, okay, let's look at the school fees. And it was Aiglon College. It's on top of Villars-sur-Olon. So is Aiglon College paying for Villars-sur-Olon somehow having 25 race finishes each calendar year? Because I swear there's 10 stages that finish on this climb every year. Anyway, if you're a billionaire parent at that school, I'm sure it's a great school. You can sponsor the podcast, no problem. But no free ads. Anyway, it always shocks me. If someone could explain the economics of particularly the Geneva area to me, feel free. But Roy says she won on Villars-sur-Olon, no gift to Cassioneviadoma, perhaps showing a free-to-air lesson for those kids on top, showing that nothing is free in this life, even though she could have just defended the GC lead. She wanted the stage 2 and she won it, and that's exactly what she'd want after an injury-marred season before the Tour de France kicks off. So Royce, she looks back. Hopefully she's not sick or injured before the Tour.
Exactly, because that what happened last year. She batted on stage 1 last year, midway through the stage after lining up with sickness. And I hope that doesn't happen this year, because with that long time trial and also her climbing ability that she showed on stage 5 here, that's podium competitorness is how I'd classify it. I think on like a Ventoux climb, I'm not sure I have the confidence for her to be competitive for the victory. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But a podium at the Tour would be a great result for Oyster. So
yeah, that'd be a fantastic result, especially as Movistar have had a really injury-marred season, and we'll get to Cat Ferguson in a second. Copenhagen Sprint, big crash there. Breakaway had Rune Gerhardt in it. You got to be in it to win it. We saw a World Tour one-day race last year, a sprint classic won by Townsend from the early breakaway, and this nearly happened on this race, but Decathlon still had a train left. Ineos chased down for Welsford, and Søren Kragh Andersen brought up, don't know who, but
I don't know either, actually.
I didn't get it. And he brought Philipsen up because
maybe an attempt to late attack, or maybe he thought he was still riding for Alpecin.
I don't know. That's what Twitter was saying, yeah. And he brought Philipsen up because Decathlon had dominated the left-hand side with Gudmundstad. Gudmundstad, very strong lead out. And they finish, I think, second and third, Lund Andresen and Gudmundstad. But it's Philipsen that wins. Again, that's what you'll be wanting before the Tour de France kicks off. In the women's, Millie Cousins, British national champ as of, maybe 2 hours from now. She let out Cole, but Wiebes was in the wheel, and Wiebes won easily. In Volta Catalunya Femenina, we had Paula Blasi dominating the mountain stage, winning by a couple of minutes, doing what she wanted, and Visma-Lease Bike exchanged Veenhoven and Vos in the 2 sprint stages. We'll get to Blasi in a second. And then the baby Giro Next Gen U23. We had breakaways, we had versatile sprints, with Schoves, Donati, Haugland, and Pizzi. But then we had a really interesting stage 5 where Finn attacked, but Van Kerkhoven had anticipated, sort of all-rounder on Visma Devo team. And then he attacked again and won a 2-up sprint. Stage 6, Ramirez was aggressive like he was in the Tour de l'Avenir last year. But this is where the Lorenzo Finn show started. And he just dominated the last 3 hard stages of this race. He won by a minute on stage 6. He nearly caught Sparfell and Rowe in the breakaway on stage 7, but Sparfell hung on to win. But Finn had sewn up GC, and then he even won the TT on the last stage, which was a hilly TT.
Okay, that's always find it intriguing to watch races like Giro Next Gen because on one end, I'm a guy that plays pro cycling managers, so riders like Davide Donati have been humiliating me in a video game for the last 2 years now. But in real life, these are the riders that in 2 years, Donati will be a World Tour sprinter, a World Tour Classic sprinter, that is. And like Matisse van Kerkhoven, we'll see at Visma pretty soon in real life, I think. And Lorenzo Finn, I assume in Red Bull in the future. And Ramirez is someone we'll talk about soon when it comes to the transfers as well, because he actually might not be staying at UAE Team Emirates. But before we get to that, Patrick, you've done your ultra marathon. You have a next goal lined up, and in doing so, what would be your joint cycling training towards that?
If I have my next goal, I am actually, in all honesty, I'm trying to find one. That's what I want to do. I want to do something before I go back to Australia in late November, and that's what Join has. Join has the data that you need. You don't need, but you're much more likely to commit to your training if you have a goal attached to it, whatever that is, whether it's a personal goal of trying to get to a certain threshold, whether it's a race coming up. Having a goal is really, really important. But the training to get there doesn't have to be crazy. In fact, I was just speaking to someone who signed up to Join. Long-term listener, obviously we've incepted their brain over the last 3 years, and they took the dive into Join recently, and they were like, wow, I've been overtraining a lot, and actually this makes it more straightforward what I need to do. You've got feedback, like Join's rolling out new things all the time. There's activity feedback features. I mean, this is what the professionals are doing. Professionals are giving feedback on their rides that then the trainers are manually adjusting workouts or in the future for. If you can't afford a World Tour coach, which most of us probably can't or have access to one, you still want to have activity feedback, and Join actually adjusts your future sessions for that. You know, maybe you're just supposed to do a VO2 max workout and it felt like a 6 out of 10. Then that's suggesting it's too easy. Maybe you had an endurance workout, but it felt like a 5 out of 10. Maybe you're getting a bit tired. Maybe your threshold is not as high as is input into Join, and it will adjust based on that. So all these little features give a smarter plan. It's not just some Excel document that like spits out a pre-planned formula. It's adjusting daily, instantaneously based on various feedback. So go and check out Join Cycling. They've been supporting us for a number of years, and see what you can do. I mean, I'm open to feedback, Benji. What do you think I should do?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think you should sign up for an Ironman. You know why?
No, I'm not doing that nonsense.
Because I want to see you like a little penguin in the water.
No, I'm a good swimmer.
Okay. Never mind then.
I'm Australian. We drink water, and we know how to swim in water.
Yeah, because you keep having to swim away from all the sharks.
Exactly, because it's always hot. So
how about this? The comment section decides what you do next.
Exactly. The most upvoted.
It's dangerous.
Find an event for me to do in October, November period, and I'll look through the most upvoted ones, and I'll pick one.
Okay. We've got
but not like some trans Europe.
A realistic one.
Yeah, not like we're gonna ride from, I was gonna say London, as we established. No, not we're gonna ride from Paris to Istanbul. Something realistic.
I want to do a bikepacking trip from London to Paris.
That's just driving. That's just riding to Dover and then getting the ferry, isn't it?
It's fun cycling.
Yeah, true.
Well, in the UK, not sure I'm agreeing with my own statement there, but that to the side, we'll talk on to the.
On right now. Let's go to the medical bulletin. We have a lot, unfortunately, to get to, like a crazy amount. And big riders too, like fundamental riders to Tour de France Femmes and Tour de France rosters, leaders of rosters, big names. And there's even rumors of others. There's some in here that, like, these are huge names. So we'll go through Kat Ferguson, ankle fracture in the Giro Donna. and she's out of the Tour de France Femme. She would have been the versatile sprinter for Movistar. Big loss for them. Speaking of Brits out, Oscar Onley, he crashed into like a ravine, but a tree caught him in the Dauphiné, and he's done his shoulder. I think he like had a dislocated shoulder or something that wouldn't go back in easily, and he's out of the Tour de France. Remember, this is the GC leader, 4th in the Tour last year, big money signing for net company Ineos, out. Huge blow.
That's a bit of a disaster, because it's not just Only, it's also, in addition to that, Vauquelin having some kind of viral or bacterial infection from the Dauphiné, having to skip nationals, but also with his Tour de France participation being, I would say, uncertain at this point. So basically a beheaded team of Netcompany Ineos going into the Tour de France. But that Oscar Only one is the most impactful one, because that's their candidate for a top 5 at the Tour de France. I never really considered Vauquelin as an option for that, to be honest, in 2026. So that's a completely different approach for the team. And just to talk about that now, Patrick, like, what is a different approach that we kind of expect before we look at a potential start list of Netcompany Ineos going to the Tour de France? Because with Only out, what is the goal? Stage wins with breakaways and such?
It's hard to make a goal of like a breakaway, because like other teams make a goal of winning breaks in the Tour, right?
Yeah.
They do that with Ben Healy. Like EF have a season goal, Ben Healy breakaway win in the Tour, and he's the best in the world at the moment. He's optimized for that. He's a Liège, Amstel podium guy. It sounds, I will go for breaks in the Tour. It's like, okay, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So you see this is why we're going to get to transfers in a second. This is why
because they don't have a sprinter, really.
They are missing a classic sprinter. It's just okay. Say you have a Jordi Meus. We maybe laughed at the rumored salary. Okay, but Jordi Meus can win stage 21 this year.
Yeah.
You have a % chance above 0.
I also think there's a % chance of a Ghana winning that stage, to be honest.
Yeah. I think they got to go for Dorian. They got to go for Dorian Godon versatile sprints. So stage against Pedersen, right? So stage 4. What's the one with the hill, or the 20-minute, 10-minute climb?
If I recall, you're correct, but it's not just that. Like, you've got Godon, you've got an Arensman who was fantastic last year, won multiple stages. Ghana as well. Is there a goal of the team time trial with Tarling being injured as well? Because he's also on our bulletin list, by the way. Joshua Tarling, like, he's got a broken collarbone after his crash at the Dauphiné. So Tour de France is most likely not happening. I think individual stages is now the objective for Netcompany Ineos, whether that's breakaways, whether that's versatile sprints, whether that's a late attacks, whether that's an individual time trial, a team time trial, just trying to get stage success. Because I know we've spoken about Rodriguez, the fight versus Christian and Carlos over the last decade, but I don't think Carlos Rodriguez is ready for a top 3 at the Tour de France.
No, I mean, yeah. It's in top 3. You got Remco in good shape. I don't see it. But I think, Dorian Godon get a stage win. TTT, I think I don't know what the Tarling situation is. I mean, he broke his collarbone. It's tough because, the TTT is in 6 days from now.
Yeah.
They got to go for stage wins. Is Rodriguez still white jersey eligible?
Yes, I think he is. He's 25, so probably not, actually. I don't know what the exact cutoff is in terms of date. 2nd of February, 2001. Oh.
How old is he?
Marv.
Is that his birthday?
Yes.
So he's 25.
Yes, correct.
No, he's not eligible.
I don't think so either.
So, yeah, they got to do their best with him. And you're right, Aronson won 2 stages. That shouldn't be forgotten. Just go for stages. But that's not their goal. It's the same with, like, say Visma lost Vingegaard, they went for stages, they won 2 stages. It'd be like, cool.
Yeah, but if your GC riders are injured, there's not much you can do,
Exactly. Well, Yeah, they probably would hope Vokalay would have kicked on.
Yeah, for sure. And they would have hoped both those riders would be in format at the Tour de France, but it's not likely for at least only maybe Vokalay shows up. We'll see. But
Van Aert.
outside of Net Companinos there. What, sorry?
Van Aert, yeah, he's out.
Yeah. Wout van Aert's out when it comes to his Malisa bike. He had an elbow injury after crashing in training, I think, before the Dauphiné. And then he ended up riding the Dauphiné. Then that elbow injury turned into an infection that became pretty serious, requiring hospitalization. And then later we saw the decision that he was out of the Tour de France. And obviously his later season goals are Vuelta and I think Montreal World Championships and such, which is, I don't know if I find Montreal World Championships that realistic for a Wout van Aert victory, because that's a pretty tough parcours. It's like GP Montreal, basically, if I recall correctly. But this is a controversial one, Patrick, because if I scour the Belgian media or my Belgian WhatsApp groups with either riders or journalists and so forth in it, disaster for Visma Lease bike. I like Wout van Aert and seeing him in races, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for the team, because the last two Tour de France where Wout was present, he was actually undercooked going into the race, and domestique-wise, he couldn't give much towards Jonas Vingegaard in the last two Tour de France. So yeah, the best Wout van Aert can offer a lot, but I didn't see the best Wout van Aert at the Dauphiné despite the stage win. And that's why I don't think it's the biggest deal. I think he's replaceable, and they have replaced him, and I think the team won't suffer majorly from his absence.
GC-wise, that...
Correct.
100%. Yeah, GC-wise, with the shape he was in the Dauphiné, it seemed pretty unlikely that you were going to get the 2022 or 2021 winning Ventoux, passing Tourmalet he did in 23 even, when he was a satellite rider in Tourmalet, when he could have probably won that stage. That seemed unlikely. But for stage wins, it's a loss, because Sprinter Van Aert's back. So...
Well... I'm sorry, but based on that one...
His sprint was horrific for 18 months.
Yeah, but against who did he win at the Dauphiné?
Benji, he was losing... Dean Gordon.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying he lost to worse sprinters than Dean Gordon for 18 months, and his sprint looked back, so I think...
Yeah, but the last Vuelta that we saw him sprinting against Groves and Bittner and so forth, he also won versatile sprints. I never... lost the doubt that Wout van Aert could in a versatile sprint. I just don't think it's... For GC, it's just not... He's just replaceable. And when it comes to stage wins...
I agree there. But yeah, on the stage win component, you lose someone for stage 21, which you won last year, etc.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, GC is way more important for Visma.
I would say so, yeah. So yeah.
Also Laporte, by the way.
Laporte's a big loss. He is out of the 2026 TDF as well. But I think that was from a while ago. He's confirmed out. Van Aert's confirmed out. And the last one, as of 3 days ago, Eduardo Affini crashed heavily at the TT Champs. And he's being assessed before the Tour de France. Obviously, stage 1 is a team time trial. I think Eduardo Affini's been involved in the last, X number of TTT victories of his Melissa bike. He was
sure.
He's the core component of that TTT squad.
So that's a big hit for that TTT squad, and that's the kind of factor where you can't replace that TTT role as easily for a GC supporting factor. Also, Affini's always there when necessary when it comes to a rouleur role for both GC and potential sprint opportunities along the way. Now, I actually don't remember who the rider was they had on the sideline as a potential substitute publicly for Affini, so I can't
Lehman
really
just got
comment
pulled
on.
Out of the Dutch Natty Champs.
Yes, because he rode the Giro. He would have.
They found a hill.
A hill that is not called the Vanberg.
Yeah, they found a different one.
To be fair, there's quite a few hills in the Netherlands, but
yeah, true. In the south there is, yeah.
But Visma to decide. We'll talk deeply about the replacements of those.
Preview our Tour de France preview.
Exactly. Well, we'll go massively into the Visma Lease bike team and the replacements here in our upcoming Tour de France preview. But there's also quite a few other riders that are in in trouble. I also had Paula Blasi on this list, but I don't think her injury was that big of a deal. I think she had a training crash. She then rode the ITT Spanish National Championships with rib pain, finished 4th in them, then skipped the road race, and she's going on altitude camp in Andorra just like me in a couple of days. So both for the Tour de France, of course, our preparation. Now, on a serious note, she's doing so for the Tour de France Fun preview preparation, so I don't expect this to have major consequences for her, and I still see her as a serious podium candidate for the Tour de France Fun, and we'll see maybe more. But next to that, Theo Bilbao, I'm kind of sad about this because his last Tour de France is what was supposed to be, and he had a viral illness just like basically half the peloton at the Dauphiné at this point, and as a consequence, he's not riding the Tour de France, and I assume he's riding the Vuelta now?
I think
like, he should, right?
Yeah, he has to. I mean, that's the biggest race. That's the biggest race for them after the Tour, so he probably will be. But yeah, like Romeo and Cat Ferguson both out. Not good for Movistar. They're probably their two most, like, after Reusser and Mas, they're like most marketable riders out of the biggest races.
Romeo also because of a flu virus at the Dauphiné. So I swear, like I've said that multiple times, because we have so many riders with illnesses or injuries at the Dauphiné this
not
year.
Mentioned. So like apparently, now this is all confirmed. Benji sourced it very nicely. Now we move to more rumor mill. I hear like decathlon, a lot of sickness. I hear like the whispers about Dan Holer. Mühlberger, and it's not just whispers or rumors. I'm basing this on Mühlberger yesterday, said he can't start the Tour. So he skipped Swiss and Natties so that he could do a proper preparation for the Tour after doing the Giro. He's now out of the Tour de France. Mühlberger, he was going to be the best climbing domestique for Seixas.
Well, I'm not completely sure about that. I think the Prodoms are pretty solid. Riccitello I put higher. And on his best day, Prodom can be equal to Mühlberger.
No.
I disagree.
No. Mühlberger Giro versus Prodom.
Mühlberger is not every day on that same level.
I agree. He's not. He never did it for like consecutive Grand Tours before.
Yeah. And also the Tour de France level is going to be, I think, a bit higher based on what I've seen. So I don't think
Mühlberger was pretty good in the Giro.
Yeah.
But who? I don't know. I have no idea who's in their team for the Tour.
Bring Olaf Koy at this point. He won a Bilbao's Belgium Tour, right?
Bring Olaf Koy.
At this point, you might as well bring the lead out because you don't have any climbers left.
Bring Tord Gudmestad, Oscar Chamberlain, Pierre Gautara, Case Bowl, Bissiger. Sorted.
That said, there is value in a team around Paul Seixas, for sure. Value in a ride like Mühlberger, getting over a climb, the second last climb, and being able to get water in the valley or something for Paul Seixas. But on the final climb, it's going to have to be Paul Seixas himself.
Yeah.
So if outside of the actual support throughout the stage, I don't think there's many situations in which Paul Seixas will need his team to break open the reins, because other teams will be doing so for him. When UAE's in control, Visma will try to attack. When Visma's in control, UAE will try to attack. And those two teams have been the declaring factor, right, in the last couple of years?
Yeah, and there's Broe there as well. The problem is, you're in a valley isolated. How much can an opposing team car charge you for a bottle of water? On a hot day in the pre-Pyrenees.
Apparently €8.50 according to my most recent rumors.
Higher than that if you're quite thirsty. So a lot of injuries. Landa's out. Lauren Dixon fractured her collarbone, as we said. She crashed out of the Tour de Suisse. She's out. All right. That was
question. Before we go to transfer bulletin, there's a few injuries here. For example, with I think Oscar Onley and also with Cat Ferguson, where they had initial issues, and then 1 or 2 weeks later, we learned that the initial diagnosis was either wrong or not fully transparent, because then they have actual fractures 2 or 3 weeks later. Because I think Oscar Onley had suddenly a shoulder fracture later, and Cat Ferguson suddenly had a double ankle fracture 2 weeks later. And for the people that don't have an idea of how it works behind the scenes, is there a logical explanation to why that is the case? Is there extra research into the issues afterwards because they didn't do a full scan initially, or how can I imagine this, you think?
I have no idea. It could depend on the competence of the treating hospital that they were taken to after the crash, which is not, it's not a hospital of your choice. It's not a doctor you know. You're being taken to the closest hospital to wherever you've crashed in the, middle of nowhere. So I don't know. It really depends case by case basis. But that's
okay. It's time for your gimmick.
Okay, I got a gimmick. So, what we've done is you can bring it up yourself. So go to Pro Cycling Stats. I actually don't know how to find this. I have to type it into Google. But go PCS riders out of contract, and then we've filtered year 2026 team level, world tour, and pro team, and then sort by season points. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the top 50 riders, or until Benji taps out. And we're going to do where we think they are going.
Okay.
And where, if we were them, we would go. Or which team should sign them. Which one do you want to do? Which team should sign them, or where they should try to go?
Ooh.
I think
we can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There's got to be rapid fire. It's going to be rapid fire. So, Remco Evenepoel, he's extended at Broe. It's fake. He's not out of contract. Arnaud Delis, I think he's going to Tudor. I think he should have gone to Ineos.
I see the fairness in that. I don't have an issue with either teams. I think the UCI point quest at Tudor Pro Cycling is a nice gamble, so I'll go with that. But Felix Gall is going to Decathlon CMA. No, is that Decathlon? No. Is set to go to Little Trek. I actually don't like that transfer as much as probably Little Trek does. But where he should go, I'm not sure about.
He should have stayed at Decathlon. There's a Giro and Vuelta to podium.
Gall wouldn't want that.
Why?
He wants Tour de France stuff as well. But he won't get to the Trek either because there's G and Ayuso there.
I think a free line to full Giro Vuelta leadership is on a good team is not something to take for granted. Mauro Schmidt is going to Q365, I think. I think that.
Yes.
I actually think that's a good fit. He gets paid well. He gets the right program. They want UCI points. Totally fine.
Jordi Meus is leaving for Little Trek, according to the rumors. I think he should have gone to UAE Team Emirates to replace Milano.
Oh, no, don't say that. Don't give them ideas. But yes, that is a fantastic shout. They needed a classic sprinter would have been perfect for them there. Likewise,
Ineos?
UAE or Ineos. Again, classic sprinter. Both those teams need one. Hindley is at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. I think he's set to stay at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, according to Benson. I think it's a fine fit, to be honest, because also Giro Vuelta, he still gets leadership. He podiumed the Giro. What's the problem?
Yeah, I think it's fine to stay at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. I think it would have been fine to go to a Visma as well. I would have liked, in an ideal world, to see him at Jayco, but financially, I don't think that's possible. Maybe. I don't see that financially possible, but that would have been a nice combo, like Ben O'Connor and Jai Hindley together. Anyway, speed run. Egan Bernal is out of contract. I would like to see him go to Movistar.
Would you?
Yes, for fun. Come on. Colombian national champion at Movistar.
True. Okay, I'll allow it. But I think we're pretty sure he's extended. Primoz Roglic out of contract at Bora. We think he's leaving. I would like to see him on Astana.
Yes, or Adria Mobil.
Astana, one last ride. Like Nibali's, when Nibali was like still good in the Giro 22, was it? He was still good there.
Yes, correct.
Laporte is at Visma lease bike. He's out of contract. I think he should stay put.
Yeah, I think he should stay put as well. Corbin Strong.
And he also UAE classic sprinter.
Yeah, but I think he'd stay at Visma, so I'm not contemplating the others. Corbin Strong at Naesen, I'm kind of okay with him staying there. I wouldn't mind him seeing him at a Jayco, but then again, you've got a Matthews there, so that combination is a bit double in that sense. I say stay at Naesen. Pavel Bittner is the fun one, I think. Picnic Postinel. sprinter, somewhat classic sprinter if you squeeze your eyes closely a little bit. But I don't know. Is this the Ineos sprinter?
Yes, that's why these riders cost so much, because they're actually really valuable. I think Bittner should go indeed to Ineos or UAE. Janier is at Total Energies. He still is a quiet UCI point scorer. I think he's a Cofidis. UCI Cofidis.
I think he's rumored to go to Lotto Intermarché. That's also the team where I would like to see him, because I remember telling Lotto to sign him before he got cool, and they didn't, so that's very sad. But Søren Wadenskold is at UnoX Mobility. He's also one of those Cobble Classic sprinters, and UnoX, I'm sorry, you gotta stay. You gotta make sure he stays. You've only got X amount of decent Norwegian cyclists in the world. Keep them in your team.
I think he's going to stay as well. I mean, he seems happy there. He turned down the UAE bag, I think, a few years ago. I think he stays put.
I wouldn't do that.
Pardon?
If I was him, I wouldn't do that.
But he did.
No,
he said no. He said he turned it down.
I think he hasn't scored enough results to accept the UAE bag.
No, he got offered
Omloop victory? Yeah, I know. But I think the value of that UAE bag wouldn't be good enough to accept it morally yet.
No, the value.
I want a few more
value
World Tour
of going
wins.
to UAE is not to do with the money. It's to do with that you'll get good. Kosnefrad didn't get paid the bag. He's revived his career there.
Yeah, and then the post UAE is your bag, because then another team will pay you 2 million because they saw you win. I don't fucking know, the Gent-Wevelgem, no, classic Brugge de Panne, Molano style. That's the vibe there. Ben O'Connor is the next one. He's at Jaco Alula at the moment. He's not a cheap rider, but he's so on and off. So the question is, which team should sign him, or for which team should he sign right now?
Well, it could be
I've
both.
lost the plot.
I think he should leave Jaco, because it's not been as good as when he was on Decathlon.
Pinarello with Harper.
Oh yeah, the Australian diesel climbers are cooking it, and they need like or Tudor, where Michael Storer had a career resurgence.
But a small pay cut to push him to get results.
No pay cut. Why does he have to take a pay cut?
Everybody needs to take a pay cut.
Sivakov, when does he get a pay cut?
Wait. The reason that Mr. O'Connor needs to take a pay cut is so that they can afford the potential Pole 6 rumor we'll talk about after this.
Oh, true. Yeah, you got to make space.
That's the reason. Nothing personal to the Quokka.
Harold Tejada is going to Ineos, apparently. That was rumored a while ago. I think
that's fine.
Yes, I think it's fine. Riley Sheehan's an interesting one. Sort of classicsy sprinter for the minor calendar. He's on NSN cycling team. I think he should.
Modern Adventure.
Modern Adventure is the only answer we'll accept here. He has to go there. Look at Ben Oliver. He just won Wallonie.
Yes. Ahead of Sheehan a few times, right?
Yeah. Matteo Trentin, still very good, by the way, like top 10 every classic. At Tudor, 36 years old. I think he should stay put because it's working.
Yeah, Jordan Giga is rumored to go to Little Trek. I'm okay with that. I just want to see him in any World Tour team, to be honest. I would have loved to have seen him in like a Lotto Intermarché vibe.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That kind of territory. I also wouldn't mind him being a part of Ineos, to be honest, as like a French rider, but the fit doesn't really fit.
Too many. I would have liked to see him at Astana as part of the Fortunato Scaroni Hill Classics.
I don't feel it. French rider at Astana is illegal.
Champoussin.
Yeah, he exists.
Put him in that squad and let's go win Tour of Oman.
I don't feel it. Quickstep.
Quickstep's a great shout. That's the correct answer. Quickstep.
Poor Groupama FDG and so forth, by the way.
Yeah, but we're being honest about what we think would be best for the rider. Look at Vantay Pari-Pancher at Quickstep. Jagat, I see the fit. Venturini at Unibet Rose Rockets, I think he should stay put. He's like revived his career there. and they want the points. Alexandre de Lettres is similar. Total Energies, I would like to see him at Lotto Intermarché.
Fair. Or any French team that needs UCI points.
Yeah. The Eulalio Bahrain, I think he's extended. So I also think it's a good fit for him. They're going to base what other team? They put full support around him to go for GC top 10. So I think it's a great spot for him. Tesfacion at Movistar can also extend. They need the UCI points. He's probably going to score 1,000 this year.
My list is wrong, so you gotta keep going for a second. I need to refresh.
Okay, Ethan Vernon, NSN, cycling team, Pure Bunch sprinter. Who needs a Pure Bunch sprinter? I think at UAE he would have been a good fit. I think Jayco's where he's rumoured to go to.
How do we see Picnic, by the way? Because we will never mention it because they're in our heads. They're broke. I've heard from an eavesdrop at Eurobike that they may or may not have some potential sponsorships lined up for the future. And if that is true, they might actually survive.
Okay. Well, but I have not heard of a rumour of Vernon going there.
Yeah, of course.
Santiago Buitrago, Bahrain Victorious, only 26. I'd like to see Santi at Groupama FDJ.
Santi Buitrago at Groupama FDJ.
Him and Gregoire in the Ardèche Drome Classic. That's a nice little combo.
I think I just got a stroke. I don't see that at all. Movistar staying in Bahrain, I think that's fine. Now, Carapaz is a verification easy post. I think extend.
Yeah.
I think that's the vibe there.
All right, that's 25.
And then after
I've run
that,
out of steam.
I've not. We continue, my friend. Igor Arrieta, UAE Team Emirates.
We're now getting towards domestics.
Is Arrieta the dude that his dad was like the Movistar DS? Yeah. And so I don't expect him to go to Movistar.
He's going to Trek, I think, is the rumor, because he's good friends with Ayuso.
I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a good move, to be honest.
I agree, actually. I agree. They need Trek of not. They need someone who is a climbing domestique.
I'm gonna pick out 4 more names, Patrick. Quinn Simmons, kick it off.
I actually think he should have a fresh start.
Okay.
So he's where would he? It's EF. Breakaway hunting freedom at EF.
Quinn Simmons and Sean Quinn in a breakaway.
Quinn Simmons, Ben Healy in the break. Unstoppable in the TDF. Seriously.
It's actually true. It's a monster team.
Yeah. EF is the spot for Simmons.
Ben Turner.
You got a different list than me.
No, I told you I'll pick out 4 more names because you ran out of steam, so I'll just select the ones I want.
You haven't put Pro Tour on.
No. Number 33 on your list is Ben Turner.
Yes. He's going to Quick Step is the rumor. Looking at what Sturven did this year, I can't say that's a bad shout.
Okay, I agree with you there. Dusan Rajovic.
Visma Lisa bike. There's your wins from Koi replaced.
Okay, and lastly, I will go with Seb Berwick.
Good point.
Is Malisa bike?
Because it's like, do you cash in on the UCI points now, or do you do another, try to step up again?
No, the way I see it is that if the people that really know him at Visma Lisa bike actually love him, then he would be riding for Visma Lisa bike next year. And if not, then there's clearly no friendship here.
Also want Seb to get paid top of market. And I have to do my job.
Sure, buddy.
So, Trek needed Berwick. We joke, you need someone. That's why we like the Arrieta pick.
Is he your Julien Bernard or what?
No, someone to actually launch Ayuso on a 5-10 minute climb.
I don't see Seb being the man for that. I'm sorry. I think he's a good cyclist.
You watch Slovenia?
Yeah, but it's still Slovenia.
Nah, you're underrated.
Well, you know what I saw at Slovenia?
Yeah,
I saw 2 Red Bull dudes killing everybody.
You saw the Tour de France podium winner last year having to, not as a champion, no champion riding, sitting on Seb Berwick, launching it on the 5-minute wall, and then countering over the top using the Echelon effect gimmick. So, I I think Berwick should go. I'd like Astana to points horde. You go pro team to points horde. I think, yeah, just a climbing domestic somewhere also would be fine.
UAE team Emirates.
Yeah, kinda. Anyway, that's. Oh, I've run out of steam here. All right, that's all.
The list.
That's what we would do. Now we're going to actually go to transfer rumors. We go to the big one, the title of this episode. Drum roll, please. Paul Seixas is rumored to have been offered. This is per Daniel Benson with his transfer bulletin. I highly recommend subscribing to it on his Substack. He has reported that Pinarello Q36.5 is interested in Paul Seixas, and sources have told him that they've offered 13 million euros per season.
Can I be honest? I think a lot of people are shocked by the 13 million in that sentence, but I think you and I think that Tadej Pogačar is criminally underpaid in this sport. So this number shouldn't be a shock in that regard. It is a shock if you do compare it to most likely the salaries of Jonas Vingegaard and so forth. But with Paul Seixas, you've got the uncertain future. With Jonas Vingegaard right now, you've got whether that's competitive for the Tour de France, but always bumps into Tadej Pogačar at the moment. That's the reality, and hasn't shown a clear ability to be able to beat Pogačar in the next 3 years. We might see it at the Tour de France, who knows? But with Paul Seixas, we see massive growth from last year to this year, and at the moment, extreme potential for the future. Right now, I think if you ask the average cycling fan, is Paul Seixas going to win a Tour de France the next 10 years, then people will say yes, and maybe more than one, you know?
But the thing is, because now I started to think about it, and then I was like, wow, this is a lot of money. And you're right, like Pogačar should be on 20 mil.
Yeah.
20, 25 mil.
But if that's the case for Pogačar, what should Jonas be on compared to that?
And that's the thing. It's like, one is guaranteed best rider in the world every year, going to give you 20 World Tour wins, going to give you 3 monuments minimum, going to, heavy favorite for the Tour de France, is like on his own the 3rd best or 4th best ranked team on UCI points on his own.
Yeah.
It's Pogačar. Now it can crash, but I mean, take out insurance. So that's like his market value. And my question is Pogačar going to be washed at age 30? Because you might be paying 40 mil cumulative for 3 years of Seixas to not win a monument, to not win the Tour.
A lot can change in 3 years, though, to be honest. Like, we're talking about, is he washed by 30? He doesn't need to be washed for Paul Seixas to be competitive for a Tour de France victory.
Kind of does.
It's still the sport of cycling. Shit can happen.
Yeah.
You know?
My point is, like, Pogačar's he's turning 28 in September.
And
like, when do we think, like, is he really going to decline in the next 2 years?
Does Paul Seixas need to win the Tour de France in the next 2 years for this money to be worth it?
Oh, that's
as a marketing view of Paul Seixas.
I think money, to quote Matthew McConaughey, money is just, it's fugazi. What is it? It's little numbers, right? On a screen. It's not real.
Well,
it's not.
I think a lot of people
to a sovereign
would disagree with
to
that.
A sovereign wealth fund or to a multi-billionaire.
Correct. To the average person, it is not fugazi.
To a multi-billionaire. For these people, for a sovereign wealth fund, who are not looking for a specific commercial return. 13 million versus 7 million, what does it matter? They're not interested in some commercial return. They're interested in winning. They're doing this to win the biggest races. Or at least
be competitive.
Yeah, to be competitive in the biggest races. They're not doing it.
Will be that.
Pun?
For 13 million per year, regardless of the money, Paul Seixas will be competitive for the biggest race in the next 3 years already.
Yeah. So, this is coming from Q36.5, so therefore it's coming from Glassenberg.
It's not just, to me, this is not just, we're we're getting Paul Seixas to try to win the Tour de France. This is also, if you can obtain a rider like Paul Seixas, you're basically upping the level of Pinarello Q46.5 as a whole, because the respectability of the team changes drastically. Yes, Pidcock is already the rider that put him to Vuelta, but Seixas would be a different level to that. Because you would suddenly be not a super team, but your roster would be better than the 2/3 of the World Tour.
Exactly. Now you still have to build a team around him, and their rider 15 to rider 28 is not good enough at the moment for where they want to go. But you got to start somewhere, and it is a lot easier to sign the Mühlbergers, the Sivakovs, the Ariettas. You need to have a leader for them to work for.
Not the Gulls.
Not the Gulls. Yeah, exactly. You want the mid-tier good riders who do cost a lot, but you need to put them in a situation where they can work for a big leader. And riders that can't win frequently, they want a good environment, they want to be paid well, they want to work for a big leader.
Jordan Giga by the side of Paul Seixas.
Vive la France, yeah, exactly. So, are we surprised are you surprised by this? I am actually. It's a big number.
It's a big number. I expected 8 to 10 million if the number would come out at some point of like a transfer proposal towards Paul Seixas. Because if you don't offer more, he will stay at Decathlon.
And also, you can't also... Q365 can't, apart from the Pidcock Vuelta podium, but they can't offer proof of concept either. They can't say, look at all these Grand Tours we've won in the last 4 years.
Or look at our climbing roster.
Yeah, look at the climbing support. Look at the Tour de France squad that you'll have around you. So you have to start with the money and then say, yes, but this money is also a symbol. This money is a symbol of the financial possibilities we have, and we can put, whatever we can do. Improve the roster, improve the support.
Wait, I will change up the podcast again. Might as well do it. Let's go to Pinarello Q46.5. You and everybody. Let's go to their transfers. Out of contract at the end of the year is Sam Bennett, De La Cruz, Hausen, Emils Lepins, Van Hoeken, Donovan, Badilatti, Bax, Frison, Malechki, Vader Calzoni, Gonzalez, Parisini, Asparin, and Joseph Pidcock. That's a long list. If you hypothetically sign Paul Seixas, let's say that. Who's available on the market that you would sign next to that if you had, let's say, 10 million next to what you offer to Paul Seixas? I know it's a lot of money, but it's Glassenberg, so I don't think for Glassenberg an extra 10 million is that deadly. In an ideal world, if you have to convince Paul Seixas that he can buy the roster, by buying the roster already at the end of this year, who would be included with that?
Like, which new riders should they sign?
Yes. If Paul Seixas tells you 30 million is okay, but I also want you to sign 4 domestiques for me.
Well, it's a bit late in the year, though.
Yeah, but hypothetically, we're just saying shit,
Landa, number 1.
I don't feel it. I don't know why Landa with Seixas just feels wrong to me.
He did it for Remco.
Feels wrong. I'm sorry. It feels wrong.
Landa number 1 for me. Le Cerf, Junior Le Cerf, if he's not extended, he probably has. I'm going to go Danny Van Poppel, bodyguard.
Primoz Roglic.
Yeah, not Primoz Roglic. Mike Turnison or Danny Van Poppel. I go Turnison. Turnison as bodyguard. And
don't they have the riders for that already?
No.
Or do you not see that in a Don Hall, a top character? Don Hall is pretty class too. Of course, but he wouldn't be there because Don Hall is at Decathlon. You're right.
We're talking
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah. Stan de Wolf. Malaysia's gone.
I low-key want to say names like O'Connor and so forth, but O'Connor will want more than a domestique role for Paul Seixas,
Will he? Is O'Connor
really going to be... I think he can do both.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go like O'Connor, Landa, Le Cerf, Turnison, Kim Hajduk, and Stun Wolf, and you probably need a medium, missing probably some medium climbers here. Jorg Zimmerman.
Mulberger.
Yeah, I mean, you got these, but these riders are all going to cost like quite a lot of money. There's not a lot of wins amongst them, but that's your point. You got 10 mil to play with.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, that to the side. Honestly, I don't know where this Seixas roller coaster is going to end. I think my opinion is quite clear. I just don't want him to join an existing super team. Either he stays at Decathlon for me, or he goes to a team that is smaller, like Pinarello Q46.5, or on similar level, I guess. But I'm just looking forward to seeing the future rumors, because this story ain't done. Exactly. Even after the Tour de France.
Whatever happens, we both have mouths to feed here at LRCP. No decision made early, please. We need some content to roll into December. So no early decision. Thank you very much.
And then we need like a last-minute merger rumor between Decathlon and Pinarello Q46.5.
FDJ and Confidence are merging to make a French counter super team.
We've said it for years that it should happen. With Total as well. All three.
Yes, of course. Other transfer rumors. This one took me by... Literally, this rumor floored me. It floored me. Mateo Ramirez is also per Benson. Is highly likely to leave UAE Team Emirates and join Movistar in 2027.
I'm shocked.
What the fuck?
Like, Mateo Ramirez is the dude that we looked at the Tour de l'Avenir last year, and we said, oh, that's maybe the next Del Toro character.
Yeah.
And then this year he was good at Giro Next Gen after coming back from a wrist fracture, if I recall, which he underwent at the Tour of Sharjah at the start of the year. And he's already performing again. Said to go to Movistar instead of UAE. That's a massive coup, because he's on the UAE dev team.
But they signed him after the Machin or whoever obviously got a tip that he was good. He won the youth tour in Ecuador, I think.
Correct.
And like he won every stage just about, and then he was racing in Spain a little bit. He was all right. Like, he was pretty competitive, but not winning that much, not like Noval. And then he was second in Ecuadorian Natty Champs, like same time Narvaez Cepeda as a, wow, what is he? He was 18 at the time, I think. Yeah, he was 18. So either Narvaez has tipped them off or whatever. They then got him straight in. He was immediately Valados to second. Tour de l'Avenir, he was attacking. Second, yeah, he's class. And then at the Baby Giro, he's come fifth in the TT. I was like, okay, excuse me. That's way better than I expected. This guy's like, for me, he's on Torres level or better, as like where I have him for the future. And they just brought him in. They got the financial wherewithal to do it. I was shocked. Like, yeah.
I agree. Now, you mentioned Noval there for a second. Benjamin Noval is the rider that's sweeping the curtain at the smaller Spanish races in the first junior rankings, and then he's growing towards that as well. But he's the guy that then signed for the Ineos Dev team, if I recall correctly. But he's now on the Ineos pathway is what I'm trying to represent here when it comes to Benjamin Noval. How do we see the talent level of Benjamin Noval now versus Paul Seixas back in the day? Because I feel very similar to the conversations we had. Noval looks really fucking good.
He does. Seixas was doing it more so in international competition. Noval is mostly riding in Spanish races. But on the other hand, when you look at the gaps, it's crazy.
The watts are the watts, no?
The watts are also the watts. But indeed, he hasn't won outside of Spain this year. If you were going to knock, the one knock on him. He was probably going to win Worlds last year, but he crashed, I think. But yeah, when you look at Seixas last year, U23, he was
pretty good.
Yeah, he also didn't win outside of France until Lunegiana. I mean, Tour de Pavot, they speak French there, so it's like Cosnefroy only won in Quebec because it's like, okay, it's a francophone region. Noval looks like a big talent, like Lorenzo Finn. How would I compare him to Ramirez? Yeah, probably Noval's higher.
Yeah.
But Ramirez, like, that's a really good rider. And also, when we just spoke about Pogacar, okay, he's 28. I think there's space at UAE. There's not a lack of space for Ramirez.
Well, at the moment, yes.
But he's 20, just turned 20. He's in
once he gets to the level of being the tier 3, tier 2 GC riders of UAE, so in like, hypothetically, if he has the growth pattern of a Del Toro, and in 2-3 years he's on the level fighting with Almeida, Del Toro, and so forth, then yeah, maybe Almeida's up. Del Toro will still be there. Pogacar will still be there. Torres, I'm not as confident for him to reach that Del Toro level, actually.
Because he's small.
I don't know why. His time trial at Spanish and Seas was not bad, actually.
It was very good on a Helio course, but the difference is Del Toro is like 10 kilos heavier, so Del Toro is not suffering on hilly terrain. He's actually hurting other guys on hilly terrain. Torres suffers in echelons in hilly terrain, and he's just good at steep long climbs.
Yeah.
So I think there's space.
There's a lot more space at Movistar. I'm sorry.
Is there?
Yes. Of course. Who's there? Enric Mas is there now, but... Keon's there. Romeo, but he's not exactly your GC man for 3 weeks in the future, you know?
Okay, there's space, but there's also space at Groupama FDJ, so he should go there.
Oh.
Yeah, but that... Like, I'm not... We think UAE is a better performance environment, right?
That I agree with. Then Movistar as well.
And so if he gets to the level, I think there is sufficient space that he's leading Giro Vueltas in 3 years, and then Pogacar's retiring, declining, and there's space.
I think that if he signed a 2-year contract at UAE, 2-3-year contract at UAE now, hypothetically, I think it's perfectly fine for those 2-3 years. If it's longer than that, which it has been for a lot of contracts that came from these young riders, then he would be there for 5-6 years, and then I don't know whether there's going to be space or not once he reaches that.
Yeah. Anyway, that one really floored me.
And can't we just celebrate riders expanding to other teams instead of knocking them down for choosing the celebratory TV show glorious space of Movistar?
No, listen, it's good for the sport. I'm happy in a way to see it. I'd love to see him at Movistar. I was just surprised.
Yep, same.
We have Paula. Speaking of which, on a similar note, the same thing. Everyone wants to join Movistar. Paula Blasi, apparently, and also her manager Carrera has been, quite open about wanting her to get a big contract that she deserves after her season so far. She has a 100K buyout clause apparently in her current contract, which is nothing, and she's rumored to join Movistar.
Yes, indeed, and we're talking either above or close to 7 figures, so that's one of the biggest contracts in women's cycling, if not the biggest. But I kind of like seeing it, even though like in women's cycling, I don't have the feeling that UAE Team ADQ is like a billion times better in performance level than Movistar, for example. Like Marlon Reusser was a pretty good cyclist at a Giro a few days ago. So I don't see this massive performance difference there between those two teams in women's cycling, where in men's cycling, I do see that difference. I think it's fine. I think Paula Blasi is at a point in her career where she's now won her breakthrough year. Even the Tour de France Femme could have a fantastic result coming up. You think it's a mistake to sign any contract before the Tour de France Femme?
No, I don't. I think this is a good time because she's won. Like, do you think she's going to win?
Hypothetically, if she wins, she would still be paid one of the best salaries in the world, regardless if she does or not, if she signs now.
But looking at the watts as well and who she beat, and you got to beat who's there. You can't beat someone who's not there, but it was not the climbing level of Demi in the Girodonna, so I think it's a good time. On the other hand, but this is again, why would UAE let her go? Why do you not just pay? This is the foundation of your women's team. They want to be the best women's team in the world. There was a rumor that, well, not a rumor, Benson also reported that there's a rift between Jana Seal and the management.
to the point that I think Escape Collective last week or something reported Jana Seal would have already been let go, but then Daniel Benson said that had actually not happened yet. It's very confusing.
A rift about what? They're killing it.
Yeah. Well, clearly not, because Blast is dipping out apparently.
But that's like, surely they have the financial wherewithal to extend Blasi on, you know?
Like, Paula Blasi, it's fair to say it's not a direct comparison, but she's your Paul Sixas character to build a team around for the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So, well, yeah. It's harder to say that comparison because Del Toro has Pogacar with him in that team. Pogacar's your go-to character to build a team around still.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a women's team, it would be Blasi that you're building a team around in the next 5 years.
ELB, very good. Is ELB going to be GC-wise up there?
Maybe a podium, but Blasi is, for me, a bigger podium candidate already.
Yeah. And the point is the two can very easily coexist. So I was also very surprised to see that. Maybe it's just, pressure and then...
Maybe just agents spewing bullshit.
I think... Join Movistar. Who Movistar got as GC? Roycer.
Pretty good cyclist, huh? But a known ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't see Roycer winning the Tour de France Femme in the next ever.
Nah, not against Demi. But we didn't think Cassia maybe would win either. She did. But there's some 3 really big rumors of top riders. I was getting a bit nervous that Benji and I wouldn't have much to talk about in the off season because, Remco unfortunately has signed a long-term deal at Bora and that's all stable. And that gave us a lot of content to talk about last year. It looks like the circus and carousel is beginning again. I think that's just modern cycling. Apparently Lorenzo Milesi is joining Quick-Step.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think for Quick-Step, yes. For Milesi, I think he's a great medium mountain versatile rider that can win from breakaways. I'm more confident in Milesi winning a breakaway stage than Filippo Zana right now.
Yeah, I think they'll get his TT really fast. That's for sure. I think his TT will be good there. I just see him as like Milesi. He needs a big leader to work for, and then he can become one of the best all-round like the Nelson Oliveira, deluxe.
Like, if Paul Magnier was more versatile than he is, whoa.
Exactly. And at Red Bull, he would have been really, really good. It's also with the TT, but Quick-Step's fine too. Quick-Step are one of the most underrated teams of the last however long.
Milesi and Ben Turner together on Giro d'Italia versatile sprint stages. Ooh!
There we go. And he already pulled for Ben Turner on stage 5 this year, but Ben Turner had to wait. Now he's doing it for him. Great point, Ben. Nacho Labarga at Marca reports that Ivan Garcia Cortina would join Alpecin Premier Tech. This also sounds a little bit random. I love this one. I absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. I think Garcia Cortina's been underrated and he has untapped potential in the classics for a number of years. I think he probably stayed one contract too long there, and I think at a different classics team, I think I think Garcia Cortina is really good, but
I think he's underrated. But he's had a very finicky parkour, I would say, because I remember him winning that. Maybe 1 stage or 2 stage at the Vuelta at Bahrain back in the day where he really had his breakout season. Maybe that was the same Vuelta where Tomasz Marcinski was winning multiple stages for Lotto, or maybe I'm having the years wrong, which that was a pretty odd performance, I would say, by Marcinski. But when it comes to Garcia Cortina, I think he got a top 10 last year at the Tour of Flanders. I don't know. He was somewhere at Paris-Roubaix this year. He was present in the 2nd or 3rd group. His level is there to be a competent domestique in the last, let's say, in like the uncontrollable hill zone of the Tour of Flanders. That this year UAE blew up on the Molenberg. That zone.
Yeah.
That's where Garcia Cortina can be present. He can also be present in Paris-Roubaix pretty late.
He's just a good classics rider. And you can... Also, you can put him on the right program at Alpecin, so...
And he's not going to be the most expensive version either. It's like... I'd rather sign a Garcia Cortina than a Seneschal.
Yeah, but I think they are very different salary tiers. Like Seneschal was coming off a crumbling Archaea after
Yeah.
crashing a lot. I think Garcia Cortina's he's not cheap, but I think
He shouldn't be that expensive.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I like the fit. I really like the fit at Movistar, to be honest. So good on them.
Okay.
There's a lot to talk about. So we're going to try to do our Tour de France preview tomorrow afternoon. Press officers, if you're listening, which you all should be, please publish your teams ASAP. If you don't, we will just say that your Tour de France team is the bottom 6 ranked or 8 ranked riders in your in your roster, and then criticize you for it. So I urge you to just publish your team lists. And otherwise, we had a David Lappartient long-form interview with Discovery yesterday. It's the last bit of news we'll finish with today. And there was a number of things in there, many of which I actually agree with. But I don't want to discuss it in the preview. I'll discuss it here because the Tour de France reminded me. What do you make of his suggestion, Benji, that teams in the Tour de France should go to 6 riders, not 8? It was 9, by the way, in the Team Sky era.
I think 6 might be the exaggerated conversation right now, but I am a fanatic fan of the idea that I believe that if you reduce the amount of riders per team in a Tour de France, that a super team like UAE Team Emirates or Visma Lease bike, regardless of which year, has less control. And in doing so, it results in a more tactically fun race, more entertaining race, more uncontrollable race. And I think that's been proven year on year, by the way. This is not something that's made up or like in the Olympics, for example, we see that is the case, but that's a very extreme version of it because there's unfair amounts per team there in a race like that. But I think 7 would be the next step. 7 riders per team at a Grand Tour for teams, and 6 in one-day races and in stage races that are not Grand Tours is my preferred situation right now. I think 6 at a Grand Tour is a step too far at the moment. I think the world of cycling is not ready for that, because the CPA would never accept that, because teams would then have to reduce their amount of riders per team from 30 to 27 or something.
Yeah, I think I love the idea. I mean, I've been, six-man teams in the Tour de France. We're just gonna have less control. You have to make harder choices. I think it's the way to go.
Riders will always oppose this, but because in the short term it looks like less job security, but I think in the long term it's much better for the sport and better for job security, in my opinion.
If you're like quite a good rider, not at a super team, you should be 100% in favor of this.
Yeah,
that you can get more chances to win in breakaways instead of, look at the Giro. Visma could just rotate through like 4 riders, 5 riders to control every mountain stage.
Ben Healy should love this.
Yeah, exactly. The Ben Healys of the world should love this. And the riders like Simmons become even much, much more valuable because they can do everything.
An opposing point that I heard is that it's less likely for sprints to happen, and it's less likely for teams to take sprinters, but I don't believe that's the case with 7 riders per team. If you go to 6, that might start occurring.
Yeah, 7, then you have small elite outs. That might make the sport safer as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But maybe I'm not necessarily a fan of Lappartient and saying, then we'll just increase the amount of teams. I think you don't need to go to 25 teams just because you take down 1 rider per team.
No, I don't. I agree with you there.
Because while it would be funny one year to see like Van Rijssel, Roubaix and shit like that at the Tour de France, I think it's completely fine to have 22 teams with 7 riders.
Yeah, let's go to 7 riders. And I also think monuments. This just should apply. Monuments should be 5 riders.
For me, it's 6 and Grand Tour 7.
Okay.
But some other small things that were mentioned in that Italian interview on Eurosport Italy, I think it was. There was a small conversation about financial penalties for races that break safety guidelines, etc. Like that is how I perceived that question and answer. And Lappartient said that they've imposed financial penalties of up to 50k, which I don't know what up to means, because it could be anywhere from 0 to 50k then, on both the Tour de Luxembourg and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I don't really remember what happened to Liège, but he also mentioned that the same level of scrutiny will apply to the dangerous corner located at 200 meters to go from the finish in the latest edition of the Giro d'Italia. That corner wasn't with 200 meters to go in the Naples stage.
It was like 450 meters.
I do think that, to be clear, that they get financially penalized for that, but I actually see no rule opposing the implementation of that corner. And that's the problem for me.
The problem with the corner was it was off camber, sitting on cobbles.
And there's no rule against that.
Yeah.
So that's my issue here.
I'm in favor of 270 degree or 90 degree corners.
I thought you were talking about temperature for a second. I was like, what?
I am on the record in favor of corners in sprints.
Okay.
Corners in sprints slow the speed down and make the sprint safer. Bends in sprints are dangerous.
I don't think your carte blanche statement is right, because it depends on where you put your 273 degree corner. If you put it at 700 meters to go, I can be okay with it. Like a 270 degree corner, whatever.
Yeah, I don't mean like the one in, there was one in maybe.
If you put it with 150 meters to go, people deep dive bomb a 273 degree corner. You'll have. How are you going to judge that if a crash happens?
There was one, I think, in Giro di Sardegna, legit with 70 meters to go. The Donati one. No, but look at the Tour de France stage last year where Bittner launched early. There was a massive crash. It's not a corner. It's like a bend two ways that snakes, and then they move.
Yeah,
they're the worst.
And that's because the dynamic is that a sprinter always wants to do the fastest line.
The bend.
So they go through the bend. In doing so, you can't even properly apply the deviation rule, because what is a line versus a lane in a sprint if you've got a chicane with 150 meters to go?
And they squeeze the guys who were previously coming up on the open side, and then they get squeezed into a barrier which is coming in. That's what happens.
I also disagree with your statement that because you say a corner in the sprint is good. Yes. A corner before the sprint, I'm okay with.
Yeah, a corner before the sprint. I mean, in a sprint finale, having some 90 degree or two corners is good.
Yeah. That statement I would agree with. But if you say in the sprint, then I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
The finish line is literally just a Rubik's Cube. You have to solve on your bicycle.
You have to solve it. I have got some other shit written down. I think Lappartient also talked about women's races. For example, moving a women's race to the Sunday just ahead of the men's race, reduced its exclusive broadcast window, but produced record-breaking numbers, television audiences, thanks to the enormous lead-in provided by the men's event. That's the thing I don't get, because the text says ahead. I think that's a mistranslation. Because at the end of the day, the women's races are now after the men's race in the majority of the cases, which means you've got that enormous lead-in that Lappartient is talking about. I'm not sure I agree. I like that more, because there's two aspects to it, Patrick. Yes, because people leave their TV on after the men's race. You've got higher figures on paper, right? Because they leave their TV on, so there's more people on paper having their TV on the women's race. So you can then go to a potential sponsor and say, our women's race was watched substantially more because we put the race after the men's race. But in doing so, the coverage gets worse for the large majority of the ones we saw this year, because you don't get to see as long as a broadcast. And as a consequence of that, there's a difference between an engaged viewer and a figure on paper, to me. And you're losing me as an engaged viewer if the quality of the broadcast is worse.
I agree. Like the Paris-Roubaix weekend that it was incredible. I look forward to it so much. The women's was on its own day, its own event. So yeah, maybe it's how you balance it. Is, like you say, aggregate audience, is that better than, us being able to watch the full race with more coverage? I personally preferred it when it was on Saturday.
Yeah.
The listeners probably also did, because they would watch the full thing.
we missed a certain portion of the race as a consequence.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
there's the in-between solution where you can have both by having the women's race after the men's race, but still have an online live stream, for example. But I think that's just I don't think that's a perfect solution, is what I'm trying to say.
We're seeing a different, the opposite direction happening with the Tour de France this year. The women's Tour de France does not start on the same day as the Champs-Élysées stage. It's now a week later. I prefer it because obviously we're going to cover it anyway. But we were gassed by stage 21. We're gassed, and we're going to be able to give better coverage and be a bit fresher with the week gap. Now, do you lose some momentum? I don't know. I don't know.
What were the scheduling dates of Tour de Suisse women versus men? Because I don't remember. Was it the same day?
The women's race stages started like at 8 a.m.
I vividly remember multiple cyclists complaining on and off the record that on the women's side of the sport, journalists just didn't show up. And the ones that were there were not as interested.
Yeah.
I think that's also part of the reality when you have both races at the same time, that the focus cannot be on both races.
Let's say, in terms of a cost perspective, if you have the back-to-back Tour de France's, isn't it easier to tack on the extra week? Now, if you're a journalist coming from, say, somewhere else, you have to do 2 extra weeks.
I don't think it's the same person covering it for the majority of outlets.
True, you're right.
That's where I'm at there. By the way, I would love to go to the Tour de France Femme one day. By the way, it's one of the races that is like high on my list. It's so difficult to combine with the podcast, though.
Well, the problem is your co-host hates going to bike races. Is the major problem.
Well, to be honest, I can only go for like 3 weeks a year to bike races. Otherwise, I die. I melt,
no,
especially
stage
in
2
this
finishes in Geneva. Well, we're probably banned from there after this podcast this year. We are not going there. Absolutely not.
Is this your first time getting banned from Geneva?
An addendum
it's a
to
weekly
the Geneva Convention, LRCP, is out. Because they complained about the cost of water and other associated goods at an airport, which, we didn't have to purchase in the first place. Okay.
Well, I didn't, by the way. I didn't buy my €8.50.
Oh, you didn't
I would rather dehydrate myself than buy an €8.50 water. I'd rather die on that plane.
You are a true European. You just dehydrated permanently. It's true. I drove through Carcassonne during the week. So fucking hot. Unbelievably hot. Every service station, I never saw anybody buying water.
Mate, by the end of that plane, I had so many white sweat marks from the salt on my black t-shirt, and my face was dehydrated. My lips were crusty from dehydration, to the point that I looked like one of those war boys from Mad Max.
Bear Grylls narrating. The Belgian podcaster has not drunk water in 3 days. That's David Attenborough.
Why? Why would Bear Grylls be saying that?
I don't know.
Who's that German guy? Herzog, the guy that does
Werner Herzog. I watched.
Do your German narration of the same scene, my friend.
The Belgian podcaster Benjamin Naesen, for 3 years, has lived in Oxford. To much of his surprise, he has come to Frankfurt. The train station, the Hauptbahnhof, as you can see outside, is close to a war zone. When I covered the Gulf War in the Kuwait 1 year after, the destruction in the Frankfurt Hauptbahnhof reminds me of the abandoned oil sites in Kuwait. The Belgian podcaster is not capable of navigating such terrain, so orders an Uber Black. He resorts to his Twitter account, now called X, to complain about the cost of the Uber Black. That's all I've got for you. Okay, thanks for listening as always.
Holy shit.
Have you seen
the next Jan Christen documentary needs to be with that voice, by the way.
Yeah, I do my editorial videos in my Werner. I just watched his one on the Gulf War aftermath.
I didn't know. I only know him because he was in like Star Wars: The Mandalorian once.
Okay, he's done some other things in his career. Thanks for listening as always. We'll see you with the Tour de France preview as soon as we can. Press officers, you've been warned. Ciao, ciao, ciao.